Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, January 21st, 2019. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday today reiterated his call for the entire board of the Public Service Commission to resign. This follows the recent judgment by High Court Judge Justice Esco Henry, in which she ruled that the Commission failed to adhere to principles of fairness and transparency in exercising its function under the Public Service Regulation in respect of promotion of 5 public officers. The case was brought forward by the Public Service Union on behalf of 5 public officers. At a news conference today, Dr. Friday said the right thing should be done to have the entire Public Service Commission board removed.
We will not govern in that manner. The New Democratic Party didn't govern in that manner in the past, and we will not govern in that manner. And so it seems to me that the fact that you have the same Public Service Commission back there, because I knew the judgment was coming, the evidence was all presented before, but it was appointed a month or so before the judgment was rendered. And, you know, as my colleague Senator Batiste said, you can't expect basically a leopard to change its spots. I hope that they can, and I hope that they will do what the court, in fact the court has mandated them to make the changes that are necessary.
Opposition Senator K. Bacchus Batiste said the judgment by Justice Henry is a damning one which has serious implications for the service, and that the Prime Minister cannot remove himself from what has happened.
Because I heard the Prime Minister on radio throwing his hands up and saying there's nothing he can do, more or less, because the Constitution enshrines the position and there's nothing he can do. In fact, he fell short of even commending the board, the Civil Service Commission. Under Section 77, the Public Service Commission is appointed. One chairman appointed by the Governor General acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister. B, one member appointed by the Governor General acting again in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister. And C, not less than 1 or not more than 3 other members appointed by the Governor General acting in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister. So this Public Service Commission is his baby, the Prime Minister's baby. Of course, there is a proviso to consult with the Civil Service Association, and in relation to C only, to consult with the leader of the opposition.
Commenting on the matter on radio on Sunday, Prime Minister Rav Gonsalves said he has no role to play in the operations of the Public Service Commission.
All they have to do is to read the Constitution. Yes. The Public Service Commission is an insulated body. It's independent under the Constitution. I have a hand in the appointment, but I can't fire anybody. They run there 2 years, and I can advise the Governor General on appointing other persons, but they can only be removed for disability of the mind or body, or for misbehavior in office. And I have to represent that to the Governor General, but I have to have evidence of that. Did they take a bribe? What did they do? Were they corrupt? Is one of them or more of them sick in the head? I have a medical report. And the Governor General can't fire them either. He has to appoint a tribunal drawn from High Court judges for them to make the determination, hear the evidence and so forth. That's why it's when I say that it is an insulated body, the people say, no, Ralph could tell them whatever to do. I mean, it's just absolute nonsense.
Israel Bruce has been appointed as the new opposition senator, replacing Marcia Zita Banwell. The announcement was made at today's news conference by opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, who said he is looking forward to working with Bruce on their team.
And an effective presence in the Parliament. He is a lawyer and has been active in public affairs all his life. He was a teacher, a former president of the National Youth Council, and a vice president of the Caribbean Federation of Youth. He served the party as public relations officer and now has been selected as a candidate for the party in the South Central Windward constituency in the next general elections. He organizes and sponsors many activities such as sporting competitions and teams in his constituency. Mr. Bruce brings this rich history of public service to the House. He will continue to serve the people of this country and his constituency of South Central Windward with vigor and good effect. My colleagues and I are looking forward to working with him in Parliament, and I know he relishes the opportunity to serve our country at this.
Barnwell was thanked for her service on the opposition bench in Parliament since 2015. Opposition Senator K. Bacchus Batiste said both Bruce and Barnwell have done well as party members of the NDP.
To take this opportunity to publicly congratulate my colleague and friend, Senator Israel Bruce. I have no doubt that he will do a very good job in the House, and I'm happy because I'm no longer the most junior member in Parliament.
Good one.
I also want to take the opportunity to thank Marcia Barnwell, Zita Barnwell, for the contribution that she made, and I have no doubt that she'll continue to contribute as she normally does to the programs of the NDP.
Several new projects are expected to be rolled out in 2019, while other areas will be expanded. So says Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves during the Issue at Hand radio program on Sunday. Highlighting the main programs and projects that will be included in the 2019 budget, PM Gonsalves said sports against crime will be prioritized, and this will form part of a massive project for the country, bearing in mind that SVG will be celebrating 40 years as an independent state.
And the 40th anniversary will run from then until the 41st in 2020. But we have to start from now in doing things. We're all in a number of different areas, sports, culture, and in the repairs in the schools,
is Kingston included in this?
Kingston cleanup is part of that. And there are things which will be done now, but there are also things which will be laying a base for further development.
Dr. Gonsalves said Capital Kingstown will also receive a facelift and will be boosted with the $145 million port coming on stream, which will transform the area that will be more appealing to the eye.
At the moment, at Port Kingston, all of that land becomes available for development. And the pier, which is the geese, where the geese boat would come, where the car boat them come, and so on. That will be developed for for another berth for cruise ships, shops, and restaurants, facilities of one kind. Look. Unless we do that, I've spoken to the Japanese, and they're now, remember the trip which I made?
Yes.
And they're looking at this while we do some repairs and so on for Little Tokyo. We are talking about a complete revamping of that with the help of the Japanese.
The Prime Minister said he is pleased with the transformation that has taken place since his administration has been in office, and noted that there is still more work to be done which will yield results in another decade. On the issue of teachers' salaries, the Prime Minister said he has to ensure all sectors receive an increase and not one particular sector. Meanwhile, Opposition Leader Dr. Godwin Friday said while he does not know specifically what the government will be offering the people of SVG in the 2019 budget, he expects it will be more of the same.
Over the years, there has been a lot missing. Jobs have been missing. Effective crime fighting has been missing. Reputable direct foreign investment has been missing. Negotiated public service salary increases have been missing. Effective plan for tourism has been missing. And basic supplies for our healthcare system has been missing. Most of all, what has been missing, glaringly missing, in the previous budget is a credible plan and a program to bring about economic growth and development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The people of this country cannot bear any more taxes. The last 3 budgets increased VAT. The people are crying under the yoke of taxation and unemployment.
The newest Coast Guard vessel, Captain Hugh Mulzac, was commissioned here today at the cruise ship terminal in Kingstown. The 42 meters long, 126 feet vessel carries a price tag of $6.8 million US. Today's commissioning ceremony was one of pomp and pageantry, featuring several military procedures, including parade handover, march on of the troops, march on of ensign, and breaking of commissioning pennant and raising of the ensign. Addressing the gathering, Minister of Finance Camilo Gonsalves said that the home base for the Hugh Mulzac at Caliacor was upgraded to the tune of $880,000 to accommodate the vessel, which is the largest in the nation's Coast Guard fleet. Pointing out that there is causal connection between crime and development, in that if citizens are not secure, a nation will suffer, Minister Gonsalves said given that SVG is a multi-island state, it is critical for the government to invest in the safety and security of its waters and its people, including fisherfolk and the residents in the Grenadines.
Prime Minister, that over 70 marine evacuations were made from the Grenadines to mainland St. Vincent for health reasons. And I know from my discussion with fisherfolk that there are many times when a fast and agile crime-fighting vessel is necessary on our waters. This year, 2019, will be the first year that the Ministry of National Security, that the security of St. Vincent and the Grenadines can boast of being a 1,100 security force. For the first time in our history, we will have over 1,000 personnel in our police force, over 100 members of our Coast Guard, and over 100 members of our fire service. This is a first in our history. And it indicates the seriousness with which we view the security of our citizens and the investments that we make in citizen security and safety.
Minister Gonsalves pointed out that SVG is visited by fisherfolk, yachties, drivers and drug traffickers, and others which require the attention of the Captain Hugh Mulzac. He said the new vessel will help the authorities to better secure the country's waters.
We today are proud that the Honorable Prime Minister had the vision and the foresight to commission such a vessel. We are safer for its presence, and we remain committed, as always, in this year of 1,100 to the safety and security of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and to our larger development. So with those few words, I wish this vessel a long and successful life in the waters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Vincentians are being encouraged to take the necessary precaution against the mosquito-borne dengue virus. On Friday, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CAFA, called on health authorities across the region to prepare for the possibility of a severe outbreak of the mosquito-borne dengue. In a statement Thursday, CAFA said the large major regional outbreak of dengue occurred in 2009. Here in SVG, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment said the last outbreak of dengue in this country was in 2012. In an interview with the Agency for Public Information, Registrar in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Jose Davy, said while there is no vaccine to prevent dengue fever to combat the symptoms, rest, adequate hydration and the use of paracetamol are usually enough to see one through the period of illness.
We want the public to avoid taking aspirin and ibuprofen because these treatments can lead to further bleeding on your inside. So really, when you experience all of these initial symptoms, you should come to your doctor so we can get your test and we can prevent the complications of dengue.
Mm-hmm. Is there a vaccine you can take for dengue to make sure you don't get it?
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately,
no vaccine.
no.
All right. How long does it take for the symptoms of dengue to show?
From bite to being ill, from 3 to 14 days.
Okay, so it takes a little while to set in.
Yes, 3 to 14 days.
By the time you get to 3 days, you're very sick?
You can be very sick after the 3rd day. But the disease goes into 3 phases. There's the febrile stage, which we call where you have fevers for about 72 hours, 3 days. There's the critical phase, which is about another 2 days, and then the recovery phase after. So in total, it should be 7 to 10 days.
Is dengue deadly?
It can be. And that's why I was encouraging the public to avoid things like ibuprofen and all of these other drugs that may increase bleeding on the inside. Because what happens to you is that your blood vessels actually leak out on the inside of you, causing bleeding on the inside. So the rash that we see in dengue, it's actually little spots of blood under the skin.
Dr. Davies said while the Ministry of Health has been doing its part, persons across the country need to play their role as well by adhering to environmental measures in order to lessen the breeding sites for mosquitoes.
Water may be scattered or maybe accumulated, for example, in tires that are not in use, pots, flower pots, vases, the guttering, the siding around the house. You need to check on those to make sure mosquitoes are not breeding in those. Those uncovered drums that we have, we need to check on those as well. Anything that may accumulate water, be it rainwater or natural water. And I think the other day they even had a problem with the septic tanks, those that weren't sealed properly. Mosquitoes were breeding along that. So they just need a tiny bit of water, really, to breed. So if we can take care of all of these aspects, then that's one way of diminishing getting bitten. And of course, you have protective clothing, so you stay in longer clothing. You use insect repellents. And if you have mosquito nets, that would be great if you can use mosquito nets as well.
Noting that the Ministry of Health is well prepared for any possible outbreak of the illness, Dr. Davies said Vincentians must be diligent in preventing the spread of the virus, which she said can cause death.
Because remember, there is no treatment per se. It's just a matter of controlling the fevers and the symptoms and administering IV fluids for those who are severely ill and monitoring their vital signs. And for persons to know that all you really need to do is to stay hydrated, keep your fevers down, and you should be good. If you feel ill, you're having abdominal pain, you're vomiting, you really should come to the doctor because it may be a case where it's getting severe. Don't stay at home and think that everything is going to resolve on its own.
20 Girl Guides have been enrolled to the Girl Guides Club and another 15 awarded for their work at an award ceremony held last Friday at the Courts Hall of the Girls High School. Also at Friday's event, 12 girls vying for the Chief Commissioner's Award were afforded the opportunity to display their word. Guider Tamira Brown said the girls have done well, but there is another final lap that all guides have to go through to complete their training before they become guides.
We say provisional because there's one aspect to be completed. They must have an element of international exposure. So these girls have been preparing for the Chief Commissioner's Award, as have other fourth-year guides, but they have reached the highest level, which is the Year 4 award level, and all they need to complete it now is that international exposure. Paige Cadogan, Kyla Huggins, Jashari Monroe, Taylor Oliver, and Kiana Simons.
Long-standing guider Jeanette France encouraged the guides to do more and pointed out some of the areas that need improvement.
Reviewing what is up there, you've done a lot of work, but there are also some criticism that I would have to pass on to your leader. Doing the work is one, presentation is something else. And some of the presentation could have been a little bit better, right? Some of you have done 1 page of Caribbean Link guiding, 1 page of whatnot. I'm talking to you who haven't done it as yet, so you know what to expect. There's so much that you could write, and there's so much that you can do. And labeling is also important. Monica and I are struggling up there to find out what is this, what is that, because there are no labels. So those are the things. I don't want to throw cold water on it. Many things are good, but we also need to get you to improve. So I would pass on.